According to statistics in 2021, about 8.5 billion pounds of seafood were caught in the U.S. and brought in about 6.7 billion USD in revenue for the country. The United States boasts one of the world's largest EEZ, a maritime area extending up to 200 nautical miles from the coast, where the United States has special rights regarding exploration and use of marine resources. This vast area is rich in biodiversity and is the country's main source of seafood production. In today's video, let's explore together how American fishermen catch billions of pounds of seafood every year. First, let's visit the state of Alaska, the frontier of wild fisheries. Alaska is the largest and most important fishing state in the United States, known for its sustainable fishing practices and high yields. In 2023, Alaska fisheries produce about 5.6 billion pounds of seafood, worth about $4.3 billion. The Bering Sea is where most of this production comes from, notably Alaska pollock, which alone will account for 3.3 billion pounds by 2023. Also in Bristol Bay is the world's largest sockeye salmon fishery. Trout fishing is usually done using gill nets or seine nets. Gill netting involves setting a net suspended in the water column, catching salmon by their gills as they swim upstream to spawn. Alaska's salmon fishery harvested about 307 million fish in 2023, or about 973 million pounds. Scallop fishing is done by using dredgers to scoop the scallops from the ocean floor. This requires vessels equipped with heavy equipment that can handle rough seabeds, especially off the Massachusetts and Connecticut coasts. Lobster fishing involves placing baited traps or pots on the ocean floor. Fishermen use boats to set and retrieve these traps marked with buoys. This process is laborious, relying on local knowledge and experience to set traps in production areas. The third place we will visit next is the Gulf of Mexico, the diversity of warm waters. The Gulf of Mexico is famous for its diverse species, including red snapper, shrimp, and oysters. It produced more than 1.5 billion pounds of seafood in 2023. Shrimping was the most important activity, with Texas and Louisiana the main contributors. Shrimp fishing in the Gulf often involves trawling with nets that skim the bottom. This is a strictly regulated process that prevents overfishing and protects other marine life. The shrimp fishery in the Gulf of Mexico is one of the fastest growing in the United States, generating more than 250 million pounds a year, equivalent to about $460 million in revenue. Fishing for snapper in the Gulf of Mexico involves setting lines with multiple baited hooks. This method targets larger, individual fish and is noted to be effective in deeper water. The fishery has made significant recovery efforts and will produce about 3.4 million pounds in 2023, with a value of about $23 million. This is part of a broader effort to restore fisheries to sustainable levels. Salmon fishing is integrated with both commercial and recreational fishing activities, which also support an important processing industry in the region. Fishermen in the Pacific Northwest often use trollers, which are fishing boats with multiple hooks and bait, designed to imitate small fish. This method is exceptionally selective, reducing bycatch and allowing for high-quality catches. The combined efforts of the Oregon and Washington salmon fisheries yield catches that typically exceed 500 million pounds per year, with the industry valued at more than $300 million. Dungeness crab is also an important economic contributor to Oregon and Washington, regularly attracting more than 20 million pounds each year. Crab fishing involves placing and retrieving pots similar to those used for lobster fishing but designed to catch Dungeness crab. The pots are baited and dropped to the seabed, usually in deep water, and picked up after a certain period of time. The last place we will explore is the Mid-Atlantic. Stretching from New York to Virginia, the Mid-Atlantic's diverse catches include everything from blue crabs to surf clams and sea scallops. The region's fisheries are expected to yield about 560 million pounds of seafood in 2023. The Chesapeake Bay is known for its blue crabs, which are important to the local culture and economy, with Maryland and Virginia being the main harvesting locations. Catching crabs in this area is often done using fishing lines, long lines with bait hooks placed across the water bottom. Fishermen run boats along these routes, picking up crabs that cling to the bait. The Chesapeake Bay region, shared by Maryland and Virginia, is famous for its blue crab fishery, which typically yields more than 50 million pounds of crab each year, generating up to $80 million in revenue. Surf clams and sea clams, these species are important for clam chowder and other regional dishes, with consistent yields thanks to effective management. Hydraulic dredging is commonly used, which involves using powerful jets of water to loosen clams from the ocean floor. This mid-Atlantic fishery yields more than 50 million pounds of clams each year, worth about $30 million. The use of hydraulic dredging has helped harvest these clams effectively, although it is strictly regulated to prevent environmental damage.